Okay, we'll wrap this up with the last segment on some of my final thoughts. And again, I'm just a guy with a perspective. Others have different perspectives, and I encourage you to seek them out. So wrapping this up, I have some dicta. The gun is not a magic wand. There is an element of society that will be totally unimpressed with your pistol. And they will question whether or not you had the fortitude to use it. As we go through our lives, let's be curious and be cautious. When you step out of that store, look around for a moment. Won't hurt anything. Maintain yourself and your equipment. Guns, when used, wear out. They break. Clean them often enough, and inspect them for wear and function. Replace those springs periodically. And here's a big one, and this is one where a lot of people would benefit from. The gun goes on, the ego comes off. You can't coexist. The ego will prompt you into situations and circumstances. It just won't end well. Be in the moment. And by that I mean, as the situation is evolving, don't engage in willful disbelief that this is not happening right now. This man is not yelling at me. Those are not shots I'm hearing. Be in the moment. This lesson comes to us from Tyler, Texas, and a guy by the name of Mark Wilson. And if he has a rifle, he's wearing body armor. This was a third-party intervention of a form. It took place in Tyler, Texas, over a decade ago, at a courthouse during a divorce trial. A lady and her son were going up the courthouse steps. Her soon-to-be ex-husband, assailant, arrived with an AK pattern rifle festooned in magazines. He killed her and was shooting up the courthouse. A citizen, Mr. Mark Wilson, an owner of a nearby indoor shooting range, saw what was happening, secured his Colt 1911, went downstairs from his apartment, and I forget the distance, he came up from behind cover and shot this guy twice in the back with a .45 ACP. The assailant was wearing body armor. All that did was let him know there was someone back there. He spun around with the rifle, pinned Mr. Wilson behind the car. The fatal shots were via defensive wounds, went through his hands. He saw something he could not abide. He took such an affront to it, he risked his life and lost his life. There's now Mark Wilson Day in Texas. I think it's March 31st, but I'm not certain. It's always dangerous to quote dates like that. But from that lesson, I extrapolated from that shooting, if they're carrying a rifle, they're wearing body armor and target accordingly. Recognize the monkey dance. I'm not one of those, you are. And the devolving conversations just revolve around exchanging insults. There's no communication taking place there. We're just ramping each other up for the inevitable. And bow out gracefully on the monkey dance. See all this cool video you watched? It came from somewhere, didn't it? We are not far away from achieving Orwell's vision. And the English, Great Britain, London, that is truly the surveillance society. So assume that there's video surveillance everywhere. Pay attention to who's paying attention to you. Accept what is happening and conduct yourself accordingly. Again, don't engage in willful disbelief. This guy is not walking toward me. There's not a gun in his hand. This is not a confrontation. Have a plan. I think I gave you a pretty good basis of formulating some today, and train to acquire those skills in context. Ask no man for permission to do that which is right. I forget where that quote comes from, but it applies to the ultimate guarantor of your security and safety is yourself. I can think of numerous circumstances in the past where authorities said, no, stay in your rooms. And then, in this case, it was a ferry boat off the Korean coast. All the kids went back to the rooms, the ferry boat capsized and sank. There's always one more. If there's one, there are two. I showed you a couple of examples of that of the hidden assailant, the second assailant coming up out of the woodwork. And this is something I'm stealing blatantly from Kathy Jackson. It's okay. It is okay for you to fight for yourself. You, Chris, and you, David, and you, Bev. It's okay. Finally, the finale. You can do everything right and still end up on YouTube, and the internet gun fora will just go crazy, and they'll mock you and point out where they would have done better. Well, I can only quote Theodorus Rex, that it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out where the strong man stumbled or the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by the dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy course, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place should never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. And there's not a cold and timid soul in this room right now, or he wouldn't be here. So some resources to further your pathway. If you are on social media, Facebook, I think you should seek out Greg Alefritz, as well as Dr. William April, who's also on Instagram. He does some amazing stuff every week. Train with Tom Gibbons, Masad Ayub, and Craig Douglas. Get exposed to how they see the problem. Subscribe to Active Self-Protection, John Correa on YouTube, and maybe take a few classes of mine along the way. I could use a couple bucks, thanks. What you've seen is the basis and foundation for how I approach training the average citizen for what we should be doing, concealed carry. I thank you all for your attention. I look forward to the comments below.